China was once an industrial underdog. Today, it's a manufacturing juggernaut. Over 35% of global production now comes from its factories. That's more than the US, Japan, and Germany combined. It's a transformation the world hasn't seen since the US overtook Britain as the industrial superpower. In just 2 decades, China went from a follower to the leader of global manufacturing. Its exports dominate markets, with numbers that crush its competitors. But this rise isn't without cracks. Behind the staggering stats lies a fragile reality. Trade wars, overdependence on exports, and a crumbling property market are threatening its future. Is China's manufacturing empire built to last, or is it on the brink of collapse? Let's dive in with the Atlas shift. To understand the current paradox of China's manufacturing, we need to look at how China got here. In the mid-1990s, China's share of global manufacturing was a mere 5%. By 2022, that number had soared to 32%, a staggering leap that cemented its position as the world's sole manufacturing superpower. In 1995, its share of global manufactured exports was just 3%. By 2020, it had reached 20%, dwarfing the contributions of the United States, Japan, and Germany. Out of approximately 5,000 globally traded products, China dominated exports for nearly 600 of them by 2019, a figure that is at least 6 times greater than the dominance held by the United States or Japan. This rise was no accident. It was fueled by a combination of natural advantages and deliberate policy choices. China's large population provided an immense labor force, while state-led initiatives like Made in China 2025 set ambitious targets for industries ranging from electric vehicles to aerospace and robotics. Generous government subsidies, cheap credit from state banks, and heavy investment in infrastructure further bolstered the manufacturing sector. Even the social structure, such as the hukou system, played a role by creating a pool of low-income workers who were restricted from moving freely within the country. China's manufacturing engine is not just about volume, it's about strategy. The country's leaders have long emphasized production over consumption, a philosophy rooted in both historical scarcity and Marxist principles. Manufacturing has also become a cornerstone of President Xi Jinping's vision for geopolitical security. Under his leadership, China has prioritized the supply side of the economy, ensuring that its factories are not just efficient but also resilient against global disruptions. But as China's industrial might grows, so do its vulnerabilities. One of the biggest challenges is its over-reliance on exports. Domestic consumption in China accounts for just 55% of GDP, compared to 70% in Japan and Germany and 80% in the United States. Despite contributing 18% of global GDP, China's share of global consumption is only 15%. This imbalance means China must rely heavily on foreign markets to absorb its excess production. This reliance has become increasingly problematic as global trade tensions escalate. The Western world, led by the United States, has begun adopting protectionist policies to curb China's dominance. During his re-election campaign, former President Donald Trump vowed to impose a 60% tariff on Chinese imports, a move that would severely test the resilience of China's export sector. These tensions are not isolated to the United States. Both the European Union and Japan have also taken steps to restrict imports of Chinese-made goods, particularly in high-growth sectors like electric vehicles and solar panels. Internally, China faces additional challenges. Its property market, once a major driver of economic growth, has been in a prolonged slump. As a result, Beijing has doubled down on manufacturing to sustain its economy, directing investments away from real estate and infrastructure and into advanced industries. While this has boosted China's export competitiveness, it has also led to overcapacity in many sectors. Factory gate prices, as measured by the Producer Price Index, have been in deflationary territory for 2 years, and the profits of publicly listed Chinese companies are projected to decline for the 3rd consecutive year in 2024. To cope with these pressures, some Chinese manufacturers are adopting strategies to reduce their exposure to geopolitical risks. One common approach is desinnicization, which involves relocating production to other countries, particularly in Southeast Asia. This allows companies to bypass tariffs and other trade restrictions imposed by Western nations. However, this strategy comes with its own set of challenges. The efficiency and technical expertise of Chinese workers, honed over decades of fierce competition and training in systems like the Toyota production system, are difficult to replicate in other countries. Moreover, China's infrastructure and deep talent pools for high-end manufacturing remain unmatched. making relocation a less viable option for many companies. Despite these challenges, Beijing shows no signs of abandoning its manufacturing-first strategy. In 2024, nominal fixed asset investment in manufacturing is expected to grow by 9%, up from 6.5% the previous year. This continued emphasis on industrial production comes at a time when domestic consumption remains weak, further exacerbating the country's reliance on exports. As China's manufacturing sector grows, so too does its impact on the global economy. Overproduction in Chinese factories has led to price deflation, which is now being exported and affecting industries worldwide. This deflationary pressure, combined with rising trade restrictions, has created an uncertain future for China's manufacturing dominance. At a recent roundtable with business leaders, including Apple CEO Tim Cook, Chinese officials reiterated their commitment to global trade and economic openness. However, many experts believe that China's export-driven model has reached its limits. Beijing's recent economic stimulus package, announced in late 2024, focused largely on short-term measures like supporting the stock and property markets, rather than addressing the structural imbalances in the economy. The question now is whether China can transition to a more consumption-driven model like other advanced economies. Some believe this shift is inevitable, especially as trade tensions with the United States and other countries intensify. Others argue that China's manufacturing prowess is too deeply entrenched to be easily replaced. Whatever the future holds, one thing is clear. China's rise as a manufacturing superpower is one of the most remarkable economic transformations in modern history. But as the country faces mounting internal and external pressures, the path forward is anything but certain. Will China adapt and thrive, or will its manufacturing dominance become its Achilles heel?